So there are a bunch of screwed up video game worlds out there that start out a lot similar to ours. There's a tactical espionage driven world of Metal Gear Solid, the post-apocalyptic worlds from The Last of Us, and the futuristic dystopia of Cyberpunk to name a few.
But most of these screwed up places pale in comparison to the world of the OG zombie franchise, Resident Evil. In RE, you can't just worry about zombies. There are whole government organizations and evil drug companies out here trying to control the freaking planet.
Yeah, this world has a lot of problems, but that just makes it all the more interesting to talk about the heroes who face these problems against all odds.
True. So now it's time to jump back into the sadistic world and go over another prominent character in the franchise.
She's been given bioweapons and their creators a business since the first Resident Evil back in 1996.
Her name carries so much weight that even the folks at Marvel know about her flex.
This week on Honest Gaming History, we're covering Jill Valentine.
Play that intro, son.
Coming from French and Japanese descent, Jill Valentine was born in 1974. She joined the army in the early 90s and became one of the only women in the world to receive Delta Force training.
Delta Force is the United States' main counterterrorism unit, so getting trained by them is some high-tier shit.
By 1996, the Special Tactics Rescue Service, or STARS, is founded in Raccoon City. This is an elite special forces division that is privately funded by the secretly evil pharmaceutical corporation, Umbrella. For years, Umbrella has claimed to be doing pharmaceutical research for the betterment of the world, but they're secretly developing bioweapons to sell. So them funding STARS is not good.
The captain of STARS, WESKER, recruits Jill to the force because they can use her military experience.
She joins the division because she appreciates her sense of justice. As she spends time with the unit, she becomes close friends with another prominent character in the franchise, Chris Redfield.
After some time, she gets recruited into Wesker's Alpha team. Then by 1998, the plot kicks in, and Jill's sent on the mission that would change her life.
For some time now, the outskirts of Raccoon City has been getting hit by mysterious deaths. Like the crime scenes are so vicious that the cops assume that there could be cannibals or wild dogs running around.
First, STAR sends their Bravo team to the Arklay Mountains to look into all the deaths, but they go MIA.
So Wesker's Alpha team, which includes Jill, Chris, and another agent named Barry, is sent to investigate the disappearance of Bravo team.
They come to the scene and find a dead helicopter pilot, then lose one of their own when they get attacked by mutant dogs. And then, one of them runs away, cause he's pussy. So yeah, the mission is going terribly so far.
Now there are 4 operatives left: Jill, Wesker, Barry, and Chris. And this is where the plot kinda gets weird, because this begins the first Resident Evil. You have to choose to play as either Jill or Chris, but neither of these lead to the canon ending. So here is a basic explanation of what's supposed to happen plot-wise with this game, so everything moving forward makes sense. The 4 investigate the mansion, and over time they find out a few things. This mansion holds a secret lab owned by Umbrella. They have a traitor within their midst, and one of the members of Bravo team is alive. Her name is Rebecca.
They eventually find out that the traitor is Wesker, the captain of all people. Apparently Umbrella was out here doing bioweapon research, shit went wrong, then one of the viruses they created named the T-virus began to spread.
This turned a bunch of the researchers into zombies, and released a few bioweapons, which caused all those deaths near Raccoon City. But Umbrella cared more about their research. Under the Tyrant Project, they were trying to develop human bioweapons. After everything went crazy at the lab, they sent Wesker to kill any survivors, and retrieve all the data on the Tyrant Project research.
Damn, Umbrella, y'all are fucked up.
After Jill, Chris, and the gang discover Wesker's treachery, they watch as he gets killed by Umbrella's creation, a rogue bioweapon known as the Tyrant.
With the help of some rockets, they shoot the Tyrant, then escape the area before the mansion blows up.
With knowledge of Umbrella's true intentions, the STARS units try to initiate an investigation on the company. They're out here experimenting with bioweapons, and even if you don't believe that, a freaking mansion just blew up. Anybody should be able to tell that something ain't right.
But the chief of police of the RPD, Brian Irons, refuses to hear them out, so you know he's taking money from Umbrella on the side.
With that, Chris decides to head to Europe to investigate Umbrella himself, with Rebecca deciding to follow suit later. Barry heads back to his family because shit is getting wild.
As for Jill, she stays in Raccoon City for now, to investigate Umbrella here, but she also plans on going to Europe later. Sadly though, her investigation goes south because Irons does everything in his power to make her job harder, including suspending her from the police force.
And she's also under constant surveillance, so she's stuck in her apartment, but then shit hits the fan once again.
2 months after everything that happened back in Resident Evil 1, the T-virus ends up getting in Raccoon City's water and affects a huge amount of the population. On top of that, Umbrella sends a bioweapon named Nemesis after all the STARS members in the city. They're trying to get rid of any loose ends, and anyone who came back from that mansion counts as one.
And this is where we get to RE3, another game that has branching storylines, so we won't be able to get into every single scenario. But minus those alternate plot lines, here's pretty much what happens. While running through the city for her life, she eventually runs into Corporal Carlos Oliveira from the Umbrella Biohazard Countermeasure Service, or UBCS. This is pretty much Umbrella's private military.
Carlos brings Jill to his team, which includes Captain Viktor and Sergeant Zinoviev. And after introductions, she reluctantly decides to join them. But she's keeping her finger on her trigger because these guys work for Umbrella. Can't trust that shit.
As they attempt to escape the city, they get attacked by Nemesis constantly, and it eventually infects Jill with the T-virus.
Luckily, with the help of Carlos, she receives a vaccine that almost completely cures her. Some dormant remnants of the virus still remain in her body. That'll become important later.
The city is now in even more chaos, and it looks like Umbrella is feeling the pressure because Jill and Carlos found out that the whole city is going to get destroyed.
They do what they can to try and stop this destruction, or at least get away from the city before it happens. But Nemesis confronts them again. This time, Jill puts it down for good though.
After this, her and Carlos managed to leave the city before its decimation. By the way, the complete erasure of Raccoon City was all part of a US government cover-up.
They tried buying the T-virus for themselves before all this happened, and they didn't want to get tied back to this. So you know, they just bombed the whole city, cause that's how you solve problems in the Resident Evil world.
And the prototype world, can't forget about that. So after this, Jill doubles down on her efforts to take down Umbrella, and by 2003, she joins a private anti-biohazard service with her old friend from Stars, Chris.
This brings us to the next time we see Jill, which is in the Umbrella Chronicles. They find out about a T-virus outbreak in a small village in Russia. Together, her and Chris investigate the village, and find Wesker being mad sus.
He faked his death back in the first Resident Evil. He also betrayed Umbrella and is now after his own goals.
Through Wesker, they find out that Umbrella is doing experiments in the area. However, in the process, Wesker steals a bunch of Umbrella's information before Jill and Chris are able to get to it.
The two then raid the chemical plant that Umbrella is using for their dirty deeds. Then after beating a cyborg tyrant, I'm dead ass, they take down the facility.
Did they really give a tyrant a Mega Buster?
Yup, cause simple bioweapons are obviously not enough these days.
Well, okay then. Anyways, after Jill and Chris take down the place, they still get nothing on Umbrella. This is because Wesker wiped all the hard drives.
But Wesker hands his data on Umbrella to the US government, and this leads to the company getting investigated, then going bankrupt.
So even though Jill and Chris didn't cause it, Umbrella still gets shafted. However, it's from someone who they thought was working for the company, so that immediately puts Wesker way higher on their radar. This man is sus as fuck.
With Umbrella pretty much done, the world's bioweapon problem actually gets worse. A bunch of rogue researchers start selling them on the black market, and this drastically changes the war on terror.
Now, it's the war on bioterror, cause everybody's out here using bioweapons. To combat this, the Federation of Pharmaceutical Companies creates the Bioterrorism Security and Assessment Alliance, and Jill and Chris are within the founding members of this division.
But the BSAA is always placed on standby, so America's Federal Bioterrorism Commission can do what they want. However, things seem off when a bioterrorist group named VELTRO attacks the floating island of Terra Grigia with the newly developed T-Abyss virus in 2004. The director of the BSAA, Clive R. O'Brien, thinks this is sus and suspects that the FBC is actually arming bioterrorist groups to make themselves look good when they beat them.
That's honestly some screwed up shit.
To try and expose them, in 2005 the director sends Jill, along with a new partner named Luciani, to investigate the ruins of Terra Grigia. But he doesn't want to put the investigation of a US government division on blast, so he tells the duo that they're there to rescue Chris and a Jessica Sharawat from a group of terrorists.
Thus taking us to Resident Evil Revelations. The two head to one of VELTRO's former ships, the Queen Zenobia, and within they find T-Abyss mutants, along with proof that FBC agents were on the ship. That's curious.
Afterwards, they find out that Chris and Jessica were never actually captured, and they all convene on the ship to figure out what the hell is actually going on.
Through more investigation, they find out that Jessica is actually a spy working for the FBC.
And the head of the FBC, Morgan Lansdale, actually engineered the T-Abyss virus. He sold the virus to VELTRO and used 3 cruise ships to carry it. However, the virus went off on one ship, which pretty much decimated the whole crew, including VELTRO. Then once a vaccine was developed, another incident happened, which caused the virus to go off and kill the rest of the researchers.
It's just like we said, in these video game stories, America be wildin'.
Lansdale realizes that they discovered the truth, so he sets one of the wrecked cruise ships to blow up, while Jessica sets the ship there on self-destruct.
Chris and Jill manage to escape before the explosion, but they end up leaving Luciani behind.
Don't worry though, he ends up getting saved before all this ends.
Jill and Chris are then told to head to the 3rd cruise ship that hasn't been sent to blow up yet, the Queen Dido.
They head to the ship and find Jack Norman, the leader of VELTRO. He's been here for a whole year, and he's already had to deal with FBC agents trying to kill him to keep his mouth shut. So when he sees Jill and Chris, the guy freaks out and injects himself with a sample of the T-Abyss virus.
He transforms, so Jill and Chris are forced to kill him. Then they retrieve the evidence they need to put Lansdale in prison, because this man needs to be put on time out.
With that, the BSAA gets reformed under the United Nations. They now have more of a say in how bioterrorism gets treated around the world.
Jill and Chris continue working together, and they do a lot of big shit. They destroy bioweapons labs, arrest illegal traffickers, and basically start putting the world in check.
But their hot streak comes to a tragic end in 2006. At this time, the BSAA find the location of OSWELL E. Spencer. He was the CEO of Umbrella, and he went into hiding after the company crashed.
Nobody wants this man roaming free on this planet, so Jill and Chris plan a raid on the Spencer estate.
They get there and find a bunch of screwed up shit. This man was out here experimenting on prisoners in his own home.
They get into his library and find Spencer dead. Wesker came in a step ahead again and killed the dude.
Chris and Jill peep and see this is their chance to finally settle this beef they had since the first Resident Evil. They confront Wesker, but fighting him is near impossible because of the superhuman abilities he's received from a prototype virus he injected himself with a long time ago. This virus is also how he survived the tyrant attacking him that one time.
The battle gets to the point where Chris looks like he's about to die, so Jill saves her boy by tackling Wesker through a window.
After searching the area, the BSAA concluded that they both died, but they were wrong.
Both of them survived the fall, and Wesker's creepy ass decides to take in Jill and use her for his Ouroboros project.
This project is part of Wesker's plan to force human evolution. He engineered the Ouroboros virus and plans on using it to eliminate almost all humans on the planet.
The survivors of this mass virus genocide would then receive superhuman abilities like his. However, the Ouroboros virus is nowhere near ready. That's where Jill comes in.
He realizes that she was once infected by the T-virus. However, because she was nearly cured, she's had a mutant strain of the virus laying dormant within her all this time.
And because her body created antibodies, she now has some resistance to these viruses.
Wesker uses this to his advantage and continuously infects her with Ouroboros to create a strain that is more tolerable to the human body.
Then he attaches something called P30 onto her. This is a chemical compound that gives the victim superhuman abilities, but it also makes them easier to control. So this pretty much makes Jill Wesker's super soldier slave.
And with that, we enter the last game we saw Jill in, Resident Evil 5.
Wait, it's been that long?
Yup! I mean, technically there was the RE3 remake that came out earlier this year, but plot-wise, this is the last game she's in.
Well, damn, Capcom. Show some more love to your character, jeez.
The year is now 2009. The BSAA found out about a bioweapons dealer in Africa named Ricardo Irving, so Chris is sent to handle the problem with the new partner from the area named Sheva Alomar.
As they investigate the area, they find out that villagers are being infected by Las Plagas, a mind-controlling parasite that was the center of Resident Evil 4. We talked about that in our Leon Kennedy video if you want to check that out.
Chris also finds out that Jill might be alive.
Once they find Irving, his dumbass injects himself with the Plagas, so Jill and Chris kill him after he mutates.
They then find out that one of the companies who are currently funding the BSAA, Tricell, actually continued Umbrella's research after the company went bankrupt. And the CEO is currently working with Wesker to bomb the planet with the Ouroboros virus.
So the BSAA is once again being funded by an evil organization, and a pharmaceutical company is once again acting crazy.
Chris and Sheva make it their mission to pursue the CEO and Wesker, and Chris is still holding on to the possibility that Jill is alive. When they finally get to the CEO, Wesker and Jill confront them to hold them off, and Jill's mind control is too powerful for her to even notice Chris.
After demolishing Chris and Sheva in a 2v2, Wesker leaves while Jill stays back to end him.
But they see the P30 on her chest and assume that's what's probably making her act all crazy. So they take it off and Jill snaps out of her mind control. She then tells Chris and Sheva to go and stop Wesker now. Stopping the end of the world is way more important than making sure she's good.
While Chris and Sheva move on to put their hands on Wesker, Jill gets saved by Captain Josh Stone from the BSAA. She gets in contact with Chris later and tells him about a possible weakness that Wesker may have.
He takes a special type of medicine to keep his virus stable. An overdose of that could make Wesker vulnerable.
So Chris and Sheva retrieve the medicine, and after barely surviving against this guy, they give him an overdose.
The fight takes them to a volcano, where we see Wesker begin to mutate into an abomination. Jill comes in clutch and saves them before they get caught up in the lava. Then she gives them RPGs to finally slay Albert Wesker once and for all.
With that, Tricell gets investigated by the BSAA and condemned for almost ending the world. As for Jill, she enters rehab, while Chris and everyone else continue trying to end the war on bioterror.
But she is eager to get back in the game, and eventually, her and Chris recruit their old friend Barry from the first Resident Evil into the BSAA. And that is pretty much it for Jill's story.
I gotta say, it really sucks that Capcom just kinda forgot about her.
Yeah, I'm surprised a new game hasn't come out that at least shows Jill back in action. She's been gone for a minute, and yes, while that RE3 remake was good, it doesn't really count as something new for Jill in my opinion.
We hope Capcom shapes up and gives our girl some more shine. I mean, it's possible with Chris Redfield getting more attention in the plot now. Maybe we'll see her with Chris in Resident Evil 8.
That'd be dope, especially with how good these new RE games are.
But let us know in the comments when you think Jill will make a return to the Resident Evil franchise. And with that being said, end screen. What's up fam, and thank you guys for watching another episode of Honest Gaming History, this time covering Jill Valentine. Once again, this video was edited by my new editor Aakash. Appreciate you for doing your thing, bro. He really out here killing it. We got 3 videos in a row that are doing really good. We have the Cyberpunk video, we have the Kazuya video, and now we have this video that I hope does really well. But moving on, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like. We destroyed the last like goal of 1,200, so let's see if we can get 1,500 likes. Comment who else you'd like to see me cover in future episodes of Honest Gaming History, and hit that bell notification button so that you get updated on whenever I upload new videos. Shout out to all my dope patrons. Without you guys, I would not be able to make videos like this. And if you are not already a patron, but would like to become one, go to my Patreon page in the description below and find out how you can support the channel for only $1 a month. And one of the perks you get with that is getting to watch these videos earlier than everybody else. However, for those of you who can't, don't worry about it. You just being here and watching the video and liking and all that stuff, that really helps the channel out a lot. So keep doing your thing, bro. Still love you. And as usual, be easy, stay lit, take care, stay healthy out there, Black Lives Matter, and don't forget, you can do whatever the hell you put your mind to. All it takes is practice and time. Peace out, y'all.